Welcome back, true believers. This is Ant-Man 2050. We're playing Mortal Kombat X, but we're talking about Mortal Kombat 11. This would be a very, very abridged version of what my Mortal Kombat 11 story would be. When I started this project, I was very naive. I thought that if I could get the attention of Nether Realm, that maybe I'd have a chance to come in and be a writer with them, and hopefully this story is really good. But because I really wanted to do this, I've been very determined to not actually see any of the Mortal Kombat 11 merchandise yet. So this is totally going off of where I was all those years ago when I started my YouTube channel. And this is the story that I would make if I was making Mortal Kombat 11. In part of me wants it to be better than what they're going to do, but we'll see. Either way, without too much further ado, this is the super abridged version of that story. We begin with seeing Shang Tsung escape his own death in Mortal Kombat 9. As his soul is being ripped out by Shao Kahn, he actually transforms into like an insect and makes his way through the floor, devouring the souls of creatures lesser than him until he's able to obtain his full man size again. Then escaping over into Earthrealm during the whole attack with Scorpion killing the Earthrealm forces, where he then poses as one of the Earthrealm Special Defense members. From there, we actually jump 2 years from the end of Mortal Kombat X into our new game, Mortal Kombat 11. We find Raiden is his dark form that we saw at the end credit scene of Mortal Kombat X, and he's become much more dogmatic about who is allowed to travel through these portals, and that the Outworld refugees must return to their world, and that the Earthrealm forces' role now should only be to police these portals and then close them down for him. Fujin shortly appears, worried about Raiden's state of mind. However, Raiden doesn't pay him a whole lot of mind. We then see Fujin taken to meet with the Elder Gods, where we find out that they're worried about Raiden as well. So much so that they've actually developed a countermeasure in case Raiden decides to go rogue. We don't really find out about that as we're swept away to Kung Jin, who's traveling to the Netherworld. Kung Jin will meet up with Kung Lao and Ashura, and we start to see what the Netherrealm is underneath a Kung Lao katana rule, which is, a bit better, but outside of their reign is still basically hell. So, yeah. Soon there winds up being a conflict that arises where Liu Kang and Katana appear. We kind of start learning that Katana is becoming more and more fed up with Liu Kang as he's becoming more of his old self and is no longer interested in the brutal ruling style that he was when he was being controlled by Quan Chi. We have Kung Lao meet with Nightwolf and Raiden and Nedra. So if I slip up and I say Smoke, it's not Smoke. Smoke is dead. Nedra is the only thing that's left. And those who don't know about Nedra, there's plenty of videos for it. I may actually make one later. If you guys ask, I will tell you about the Nedra Smoke situation. Either way, we wind up meeting up with them on a different errand. And what we find out is that secretly, Bo Raicho has been keeping a purified Noob Saibot in the Netherrealm. And he's been kind of helping Noob become okay with who he is now, that he's no longer connected to Saibot, the demon. But we also find out that Noob had a secret family, and that family is in jeopardy, basically, because of his existence. But he's been offered a deal by the Elder Gods. If he becomes their champion of the Nexus, they'll make sure that his children are safe. However, of course, Nedra is more interested in taking Noob Saibot as a warrior of his own and indoctrinating him into a Brotherhood of Shadows battalion that he's making for himself. What we find out in this case is that Nedra is beginning his own movement in the Netherworld to either supplant Liu Kang or to do something else. We'll find out as the story continues. But after this new revelation of both these things, we return to Earthrealm, and we meet up with the rest of the Earthrealm Special Forces who have been sent out to find Sub-Zero and have him help them capture Scorpion. After all, Scorpion is now considered an enemy of the Earth Realm forces, as he killed Quan Chi in their protection, along with several members of the Earth Special Forces. As Takeda and the group make their way to the Linghui village, they actually come across a completely deserted area, where they're shortly attacked by Brotherhood of Shadow members. After dealing with them, a group of shadowy cloaked figures emerge, who wind up gathering up the bodies of the Brotherhood of Shadows and start taking off with them. After a conflict with the cloaked figures, we have Scorpion and Sub-Zero emerge, along with a load of Linghui soldiers to fight these new cloaked members. In the end, Sub-Zero winds up freezing one of them, and what we discover is that it's a cyborg, like a Linghui cyborg initiate cyborg. As they question him, they find out that there's a whole new group of these cyber ninjas that are calling themselves the Takunin, that have set themselves up in Outworld. We wind up having the Earth Special Forces decide that they need to go to Outworld to deal with the Takunin, so they'll put the situation with Scorpion on the back burner for now. However, Kung Jin informs Sub-Zero that Noob Saibot is alive, and that he's in Outworld, or in Netherworld, the Nether Realm, sorry. And so Scorpion and a handful of these soldiers go to the Netherworld. So Scorpion, Kung Jin, and Cassie go to the Netherworld, while Scorpion, Takeda, Kinshi, and Jacqueline go to Outworld. We find out from the captured Takunin soldier that their headquarters is in a temple inside of the Outworld, and as they go there, they are, of course, attacked. We then catch up with Kotal Khan and his empire in the Outworld. Kotal has become... he's not more suspicious, but he's suspicious of his retainers. And he basically lays down the law that, like, anybody who isn't 100% committed to capturing all of Outworld and putting it under his rule, they need to leave now. And surprisingly, it's Ermac who steps up to say that he has to leave. Ermac's body is completely breaking apart at this point. He's basically inches from just becoming a decimated corpse. He mentions that there's a rumor about something called the Soul Stone that may be able to revitalize himself, but he needs to take care of that first. In his parting, we actually wind up having 3 individuals appear through a portal that is Hotaru, Deiru, and Dagon. Or Dagon, I'm sorry. 3 members of the realm of Saito, the realm of Order. They inform Kotal Khan that there's a dangerous outlaw named Natara, who's made her way to Outworld. Natara is looking for an item called the Orb. The Orb was something that can actually separate worlds from, or realms from one another. If she's allowed to do so, she would cause chaos throughout Outworld, and it actually can continue to cause chaos through all the realms that have been merged. So Saito, the realm of Order, sees that then Outworld is a bastion of order, since it's dominated all these different worlds and brought them under one rule. So they choose to lend their forces to Kotal Khan to deal with the Red Dragon, Natara, and all these other new villains and different factions that have appeared in Outworld during this last conflict. We do catch up from there with the Red Dragon, finding that Tanya and Rain are still trying to form some kind of empire for themselves, but now without Melina, they're trying to just mobilize a free Edenia. But as their efforts kind of come to naught, we actually come across Melina again. And somehow she doesn't remember being killed and being used in their plot. And so Tanya, being the clever one she is, gets Melina to pose as Katana, the princess of Edenian world, to try to rally all of Edenia's misplaced people in Outworld to their cause. Shortly after that, she actually is introduced to Natasha, who gives her basically the spiel of, if you help me gather the eye and the orb, we can separate Edenia from the Outworld, and then you guys will have your own free world. You'll have a truly free Edenia. Of course, they're both manipulating each other, but that's something that we don't have time for in this version of the story. So As we learn the new players in this cabal of the Red Dragon, Natasha, we are then seeing that Enedra and Triborg are also working with Natasha. So we have this enormous army of characters that now have all come together. The Red Dragon, the Takunin, the Brotherhood of Shadows, all to gain the Orb and the Eye, which will allow them to teleport between realms, and, of course, the Orb to be able to separate realms. So then we catch up with the Earthrealm forces, who are infiltrating the Outworld, trying to find this Takunin base, and are attacked by a group of both the Brotherhood of Shadows and the Takunin, and we wind up having the parties get separated. Kinshi, Takashi, and Jacqueline wind up being forced down this side of the hill while fighting the Takunin, while Scorpion is left to kind of deal with the Brotherhood of Shadow on his own. While they're lost, Kinji and Takeda and Jackie come across this old man who claims that he knows where the Takunin's base of operation is, and he'll take them to it. Of course, they're wary of this old man, but they follow him anyways because there's not many other leads that they have. Once they get to this temple, a little ways in, the old man reveals himself to be Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung uses his power to attack Kinshi in the group and winds up shattering Kinshi's sword, absorbing the souls inside to replenish the energy of his own body. Of course, this actually leads Kinji to go mad, as the spirits in the sword harbor both good spirits and bad, and the ones that are vile attack Kinji, which makes him turn his blade on his son and, of course, the other people that are around him. However, before Kinji can do anything he's going to regret for the rest of his life, we see a repowered Ermac appear. Ermac, now with the Soul Stone, has been completely revitalized and manages to defeat Shao Kahn and... I'm sorry, not Shao Kahn. Shang Tsung, Kinji, and Jacqueline and the rest. As everybody has beef with Ermac. They just don't know, what he's gone through to get to this point. Which, of course, we had to cut because time. Anyways, Ermac reveals that he could reforge Saito, this Kinji sword, but he would have to sacrifice the Soul Stone to do so. And we have kind of this big character moment with him where he chooses to give up this new lease on life, this infinite Soul Stone, to help Kinji. Which is definitely an interesting take, but it's kind of building that whole hero turn that we had in Deception. So, Ermac reforges the sword. In turn, it's devouring his body as each soul, leaving him, journeys to the sword. One spirit comes back from the sword to Ermac, revitalizing him, and now Ermac addresses himself as a single form, rather than as many. From there, we catch up with Scorpion, who has managed to infiltrate the Takunin base and finds Triborg's sector variation. The longer that Triborg remains in his multiple forms, the more personality the forms have. So this version is much more like Cyrax than he is like Triborg. But Scorpion and Triborg and Cyrax battle, of course. As their battle rages, Raiden manages to appear on the scene, and of course Raiden has no love for Scorpion at the moment, seeing as he feels that Scorpion stopped their one chance to revitalize Liu Kang, so of course he challenges Scorpion and Cyrax. And about this time, we have Kung Jin and his group manage to make it to the Takunin base, along with Kotal Kahn and his entourage, so we wind up having this incredible smackdown in the Takunin base. While that's going on, we travel back over to the Nether Realm, where we find out that Triborg has found the broken remains of the cyborg Sub-Zero, and he's using the pieces that were stolen from the Lin Kuei of Sector to rebuild Sector with both his fire parts and Sub-Zero's ice parts, dubbing him Sector 2. Which, of course, Nedra is chastising him about being sentimental for revitalizing his fallen friends. However, this leads them to a temple in Outworld, where they will locate the Eye. As they manage to make their way into the Scarab Temple and obtain the Eye, of course, Liu Kang appears because he doesn't want people in his kingdom doing whatever they please. At this point, Triborg chooses to challenge Liu Kang, and Liu Kang becomes more coated in flame. As his subsequent appearances continue in the story, Liu Kang's skin is going to become lighter and lighter, and his body will become more and more engulfed in flame until the part of him that is a revenant is no longer, and it's just Liu Kang, but Liu Kang on fire. As this battle rages on, we go back to Sub-Zero, who's found where Noob Saibot and Bo' Rai Cho have been holding up, and we have kind of this reunion between the two brothers. We also catch up with Nightwolf in this situation. One of the things that people kind of forget is that Nightwolf is a Sin Eater. He also is quite powerful in the spiritual medium, so seeing him actually turned as a Revenant was very surprising to me. But I feel his story doesn't end there. What we've had Nightwolf doing during this whole time is actually devouring the sins of the demons in the Nether Realm, becoming so toxic, and then separating his spirit from his new toxic form. What we actually see is Nightwolf finishing this process, and basically his body ripping apart as this new young lady steps out of him, and is immediately ripped out of the Nether Realm, leaving behind this broken husk of the old Nightwolf. Now, unfortunately, I don't get to finish this storyline. It would be something that I would play with in the full story. We actually get a new character, which is this new female Nightwolf, who has a spiritual animal guardian that is the spirit of the original Nightwolf. However, the broken pieces of his remains become a skinwalker, which is basically like a werewolf for those who are not familiar with like Native American mythology. But the Skinwalker actually winds up joining Enedra in his Brotherhood of Shadows, and when it becomes clear to Enedra that Noob Saibot will not be one of his soldiers, and instead is going to take the deal from the Elder Gods, he decides it's time to kill Bo' Rai Cho, Noob, and others, and along with his new ally, the Skinwalker, they attack. While this battle is going on, we have a demon arrive to tell Liu Kang about what's happening. He uses the Eye to travel to where Sub-Zero and the gang is, and of course becomes embroiled in this battle as well. As Liu Kang deals with some of these other enemies, he will eventually come across Noob Saibot, or Noob in this case. He also comes across Enedra, who declares that he'll no longer be serving Liu Kang, and that he's rising up for his own purposes. But as Liu Kang and Noob Saibot go to battle, they actually both vanish, which of course leaves everybody pretty confused. From there, Jade, Sindel, and Katana all return to the palace in Netherrealm to find Natasha is already there. Natasha basically gives them the same deal that she does to Tanya and Rain, that if they help her obtain the orb and use its power, that they will be able to claim Edenia for themselves. From there, Jade actually makes a very strange comment, which was that the only way to keep Edenia safe would actually be to use the power of the Eye to drag Edenia into the Nether Realm, which of course everybody seems to think is a good idea, which is very strange. After the aftermath of the battle with Liu Kang and the rest of the group, and Liu Kang and Noob Saibot, of course, disappearing, Enedra and his forces decide that it's no longer advantageous to remain in the Nether Realm, and wind up traveling back to Outworld. This actually causes Scorpion and the rest of the team to follow suit, and so now we move our way to the Outworld. We wind up having everybody catch up just in time to see the aftermath of the battle with Scorpion and Raiden, and the Ticunan Temple being blasted with lightning, and we see the Sector version of Triborg being torn to pieces by Raiden's lightning. So Raiden, standing over heroes and demons, we see the aftermath of this conflict with members on both sides defeated by Raiden. If you can't master this realm, then I will master it for you, Raiden proclaims. And the sky opens up, and the heavens are on fire. A voice coming from the heavens says, Raiden, you have overstepped your place. Raiden, facing the fire in the sky, believing it to be the Elder Gods. Oh, finally the Elder Gods lift their hands, and what will they do? Nothing. There's nothing that you can do, Raiden proclaims. And then we hear a familiar voice say, maybe not, but I can, as Liu Kang emerges from the flames, dropping to the ground to battle Raiden. However, before the fight can start, Raiden proclaims, no, you can't be here, no, and then vanishing into lightning. I know that's a really weak line there, but it'll make better sense in the full context of the story. Unfortunately, yeah, it kind of comes off as cheesy right now, but sorry. As Raiden flees the battle, the rest of the Earth forces decide it's time to return to Earthrealm. In doing so, they wind up coming across the new Nightwolf. We encounter Fujin again, who is trying to guide the Earthrealm's forces, but he is way out of his league. And so he decides to travel to the Elder Gods so they can give him guidance about what is going on in the vast realms of Mortal Kombat. The Elder Gods have decided that Raiden has become corrupted and no longer can be trusted. The rules of Mortal Kombat were being challenged by his actions. So to protect themselves, they've decided to open a realm which is the Nexus, and to appoint Noob Saibot as their guardian, now a demigod himself, to protect the barriers between worlds. By having the Nexus created, the Elder Gods now are allowed to see into all realms at once. Fujin asks, and Fujin retorts, but where is Raiden? And the Elder Gods respond, it is not Raiden that must be stopped. It is Enidra. Bum bum bum. The Earth forces have gathered and are ready to return to Outworld when Fujin emerges. I need help to stop Enidra. How many do you need, CASSIE asks. Fujin replies, everyone. And I know that's also pretty shitty, but it is better in the full version. We travel back to the Outworld, where we find Natasha, Enidra, Katana, Tanya, Rain, Melina, Jade, Sindel, all gathered around the orb, ready to use its power. So if that sounds like half the cast of the bad side of Mortal Kombat right now, yeah, okay. A rift opens, and we see the remaining army of the Takunin, the Brotherhood of Shadows, Triborg, all emerge, all to make a border around the orb as Earthrealm's mightiest heroes appear to challenge them. So basically, this is going to be our big, action hero moment where we have all the heroes and all the villains. We're going to have our big, Avengers run into each other kind of thing going on, as we have almost every character in our cast appear for this kind of final showdown. However, as the battle ensues, we wind up having the principal villain characters. So, Natasha, Katana, Enedra, and several others, I'm sorry, including a Reptile, surprisingly enough, place their hand on the orb all at the same time, which causes this incredible event to happen where we have the Outworld actually being pulled apart as chunks of it are thrown off into other realms, recreating Edenia, recreating Reptile's homeworld, which I had the name just a minute ago and I lost it, recreating Natasha's world of longevity, God, I lost it too, but creating her world again, and of course, bringing forth Edenia. We also see where everybody falls in this, which is people all over the place. But Kung Jin, Liu Kang, and Rain all emerge on Edenia. And this is where we have our big final showdown with Enedra. And Enedra reveals that now with Edenia separated from Outworld, all one would need to do is claim the throne of Edenia and would be elevated to an Elder God status and be able to absorb the power of Ragnarok. I'm sorry, not Ragnarok, of Armageddon, which is, of course, what he wants to do, but Liu Kang, Rain, and the rest are not so happy with this. However, before he can claim the power of the throne, he must abide by the terms of the Mortal Kombat. And so it begins kind of an impromptu tournament with himself as the final boss, which gets us to kind of play around with a few other fighters to have a couple more matches here at the very end, including Raiden, who appears to challenge Liu Kang near the top, so like in the Goro position. However, Raiden is accompanied by a bandaged figure who, once the match starts, will jump to attack Liu Kang, revealing that it's his reanimated corpse combined with the chains and everything. So we have Zombie Liu Kang as kind of our mid-boss Goro-style character, and Liu Kang and Zombie Liu Kang will have to face off against each other, with Raiden revealing that half of his darkness and his corruption has been to try to regain life for Liu Kang, but he's been led down this dark path by a Nedra to create the zombie Liu Kang that we'd encountered before, and of course we're seeing for the first time in this game. However, Liu Kang manages to defeat both Raiden and zombie Liu Kang, destroying the zombie Liu Kang in the process, revealing that he is the true Liu Kang, and in a way actually purifying Raiden in the process. In the end, both Raiden and Liu Kang decide it's time to deal with Nedra. Of course, Nedra then reveals his true demonic form, and we have our big boss battle. And of course, long story short, which of course it is better in the final story. Sorry, I have to keep saying that because this is the super, super, super abridged version. Liu Kang wins. Nedra is defeated, and what we find out is that Smoke and Nedra are forever linked. When Smoke dies, Nedra will become the dominant life form and take over his body. The demon that keeps Smoke alive is Nedra. So when Nedra passes, Smoke will then rise again. So as long as Smoke is in control, Nedra is contained. So Smoke is actually Nedra's prison, while Nedra will always keep Smoke alive. So as long as they both have any kind of existence, we will always have the threat of Nedra. Which now we learn, Smoke is now going to be basically the caretaker of Nedra, his prison and his prisoner. However, Liu Kang is now the champion, and so he is afforded to take the throne of Edenia along with the power of Armageddon. However, Liu Kang realizes that, as the god of fire, he should probably be the protector of this realm instead of its ruler, and advocates the throne to Rain, who actually shows himself to be a bit more virtuous than he has in previous games. But he knows that Rain is also not the most up-and-up sort of person, so he makes sure that he knows that even though he is now the ruler of Edenia, Edenia will always have its fire god to keep its best interests at heart. From there, we actually travel back to the Nether Realm, where we reveal that Jade has somehow seen all of this happening and reveals that she's actually the spirit of Dala, who's been inhabiting Jade's body. So these weird endings that we've been having with Jade since Mortal Kombat 9, where there was another presence inside her, it was Dala, the whole time trying to make sure that Armageddon never happened. Trying to make sure that the power of the throne never was given to anybody to begin the steps of Armageddon. So in her mind, if she could have Edenia pulled into hell, it would actually, pulled into the Nether Realm, it would actually stop the events of Armageddon from ever happening, and her two sons would not have to fight each other to the death. However, seeing that her job is now finished, she vacates Jade's body, which leaves Jade quite confused in the Nether Realm. Fujin and Raiden are brought before the Elder Gods, where we kind of are leaving Raiden's fate in the hands of the Elder Gods, and whether or not he's been purified and is able to continue to be the god of Earthrealm, or one of the gods, protectors of Earthrealm, or not. However, Fujin makes a proclaimment that as long as he's around, he will always try to keep Raiden in check. And so it sounds like more or less they will both be the gods of, or the guardians of Earthrealm. Along with that, there's so much more, because there's so many threads that are out there. The world for Natasha that we've been playing with this whole time that we actually don't even deal with in this story definitely has consequences and little captions that have to be followed up. Reptile's world being separated and what that could mean for his race coming back also is something that we don't really have time to deal with in this case, but we touch these things at the end of the story as we do the wrap-up. And of course, it wouldn't be Mortal Kombat without something hidden after the credits. So, The after credit scene, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm indulging because this video is probably forever now, but so we emerge back in Quan Chi's castle, seeing the big behemoth body rising from the Revenant pit. The way that the frame should always be shot is that we see the body is very muscular and large, but we don't get a look at its face at all as it moves its way through the castle, being talked to by Quan Chi, which of course Quan Chi is telling it, you know, as you've been gone, there's pretenders to the throne, but I've saved your armor, I've saved your weapon, leading the body by its voice to Shao Kahn's armor and Shao Kahn's hammer. As we see the body reach for the armor, we see in the reflection of a mirrored surface Quan Chi's spiritual form. The spirit Quan Chi tells his revenant that together they'll be able to retake Outworld, but first he must find a new body for him. And we have the revenant smash the reflective surface and see Quan Chi's spiritual form broke into several thousand pieces as it grabs the armor from behind the glass. We have the body then turn towards the camera. The camera pans up to see, as the helmet is lowered down, that it's not Shao Kahn, it's Reiku, who then dons Shao Kahn's armor at the tail end of the game to see once more a new deception beginning. So this is my ultra abbreviated, hopefully not too badly interpreted version of Mortal Kombat 11. This is how I would have done the game, or where I would go with the story. There is a lot of plot threads that I don't have time for in here, so if you're interested in them, please do let me know in the comments, and I will try to figure it out. But until next time, this is Ant-Man 2050. Play again, the full script done. I guess as long as I'm rambling, let's just throw out this last little bit. My biggest fear, Mortal Kombat 11, there's two things. Number one, big fear, we're just going to go and do Armageddon. There's a ton of Easter eggs in it, with the kids showing up and the Red Dragon being parts of the storyline for Armageddon. And I don't know if you liked Armageddon or not, but I hated it. I thought it was the worst story that Mortal Kombat ever came up, and it was one of the laziest. And so I don't want anything to do with Armageddon again. So my biggest fear is that we're going to do an Armageddon-like story with the two brothers. The other possibility that is also a huge fear is that we're just going to have some kind of time travel mambo-jumbo, and we're going to go back to Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, because Boone really likes to work on Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, which is really bad because XL is great, and it's basically just tweaks on Mortal Kombat 4. We could easily move on to Deception and Deadly Alliance. We don't need to rush to other things. Either way, I'm looking forward to finally looking at Mortal Kombat 11. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and this wasn't just a terrible waste of time. But until then, have a good day.